Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today joins at Golf Repairs for You with Master Fitter Sam Smith, where we're in episode 2 of a full iron master fit with our 6.5 handicap down.
Yeah.
And in the first part, we narrowed it down to these 3 irons, didn't we? It took us about 1 hour 20 minutes of testing different irons.
Yeah, so we've got Haywood PD1, 14 TC7, and then Srixon ZXi7. You know, all pretty similar. To Haywood's a little bit more forgiving, but 14 and Srixon are very similar, kind of more semi-blade style ahead. Lofts are all very similar. So I think we've got 32, 32 and a half, 33. So yeah, we found out with Danny needed a bit more loft just to create a bit more spin. And then also we've changed kind of lie angle, shaft weight and stuff like that since his current setup.
What I would say, if you're tuning in and you didn't see the first video is a great example of what a master fitting is on irons, because I think far too many people go down the route of free fittings.
Yeah.
And they can get an entire set of irons fitted in maybe 30-40 minutes, because at the end of the day they're giving that time away, aren't they? So they're not going to give you 2 hours at a time, where today, or what we saw this morning, is that the real depth it really takes to narrow it down to these 3 alone. And all the considerations you made, Sam, and even learnt me some things. So I think for the guys at home, if you've never seen a proper master fit, that's why we split it into 2 parts, because we wanted to show you the entirety of it rather than cutting loads out. We wanted to show you every element of a master fit. And I think what you did this morning to get down to these 3, and we've now got 3 irons that we could say they're actually better than Dan's gamers, but still need some fine tuning.
Yeah, again, if you look at the data on there now, let's take the PXG out one sec. Yeah, so that's what we've kind of got it to at the moment. Like I said, we'll alter the Liza Srixon because we changed the lie angle, but you'll see that in the first video. But yeah, dispersions vary a little bit. Some are going a fraction left at the minute. It's just what we need to just kind of go in depth a little bit more. Try and get it down to obviously 1 or 2 heads, and then finalise kind of shaft options, swing weight, stuff like that.
So in this obviously final session, we sort of going to narrow it down to the head. We're going to look at shafts, length, flex, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we've got the main idea. We know what loft you need now. We know kind of like shaft weight, what's going to be probably most optimum. And then, we just need to have a bit of play with swing weight, double check loft and lie, and then, we'll be all good to go.
Just a nice different selection, aren't there? Out of all the irons Dan's tested today, I mean, we've had PXG in there,
had Wilson as well.
That's very surprising. On paper, I might have only thought that would have been in Dan's final 3.
Yeah.
So to get 14 and Haywood in there, I think his compliments them 2 brands.
But I think that's just why you've got to have an open mind, really. And not come in just wanting, one brand, or maybe a brand which, you're open to a brand which you might not have heard of necessarily, because it doesn't mean it's, not a bad club.
Right. Well, let's get stuck in. Guys, get in the comments, what iron is Dan going to end up with? Sorry to take you away from the main video, guys, but we've got a golf day to announce.
We have.
Golf Repairs for You at Sherland Golf Club, and you're invited.
Yeah, so 19th of June 2025, Sherland Golf Club. It'll be £50 entry fee. There'll be lots of surprises, individual Stableford, more details to follow. But yeah, probably like over £1,000 worth of prizes. We've got support from Srixon and Wilson. So it's going to be a really good day.
Cracking. Yeah, I'm going to be there as well. I'm sure Dan will, and a few of the guests from the channel. But we'll put a link in the description below for anybody that's thinking of coming and joining us.
Yeah, but first come, first serve. So yeah, just don't hesitate to enter.
Love to see you there.
So just going to have a quick hit with each head again, just so you've got a feel. And again, you've got to make sure it's repeatable if the numbers are kind of doing the same as it was before. So back to the 14. I've added a little bit of weight to the head this time, just because the spring weight was quite a bit lighter than anything else. Just see if that feels a bit better, because you said it just felt a bit different.
Feels quite nice. Wasn't quite as good.
First one was definitely a similar spin though. It was like 5,800, so just that little bit more. In fairness, it is a weaker lofted by you know, it's a degree weaker than Srixon, half a degree weaker than the Haywood.
Just not quite getting them.
Can you feel a difference in weight?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think the only thing I lacked with this was just a bit of ball speed.
Yeah.
And the other two are a little bit hotter off the face, aren't they? So again, if the other two are doing similar things to before, then I think we'll take the 14 out.
Yeah.
Even though it is spinning, you know, it's definitely spinning more, but because you're losing ball speed at the same time, it's like quite a big drop off compared to yours in terms of carry. You know, you're good probably, you saw earlier, probably what, 7 yards on a good hit,
Yep.
you know, potentially. So it's, yeah, you don't want to lose too much. Let's go back to Haywood. Same setup as before.
His strikes gone.
About 4 foot.
Yeah, but
It's just literally tapping. Well, that's what you want there. You want your bad shot to be still in play. Your bad shot before was just, you know, quite a bit offline.
all over, yeah.
And distance varied a lot. On a ring. On a. Oh, tapping.
Yeah, just
That was better.
took me a while to get going. Yeah, I like it. It looks nice.
Right, so let's hit Srixon. Again, same setup as we just did before, because
Yep.
it was, you know, a lot better numbers. You've got to be realistic. It's great if you hit, you know, if you hit one good strike every time on the green every time, but, you know, it's not possible
not where I'm at,
sometimes.
no.
You know, it'd be great if I got you doing that, but you just got to be realistic sometimes. Yeah, sure. There we go. Yeah, good shot. Sounded good. That's better. Yeah, good shot. Yeah, good shot. I mean, is there kind of one you're drawing more towards than the other three?
I feel like the 14 one's probably like, it feels a bit slow.
Yeah, I think it's good for spin. I'd say
Yeah.
it's my most preferred one for spin rate, but you are definitely a bit down in terms of ball speed. And yeah, it's too much of a trade-off, I think.
I said I don't mind losing a bit of distance, but I feel like that might be
it's a bit too much.
much.
You're looking close to maybe a club shorter than what
Yeah.
you are now. Again, I think, for me, Srixon probably makes the most sense. I think if you want kind of the best feel as well, because the Haywood's obviously cast, so might not feel as soft. And I think because it's, kind of like a one-piece head, where the Haywood's like a hollow head,
Yeah.
you don't want to be in a bit too low spin sometimes, which can tend to happen with a hollow head. I'm kind of leaning more towards the Srixon. Again, ball speed's good, but it's just obviously what your preference is as well.
I think looks and feel wise, I think it is the Srixon.
So I'm going to put a different shaft option in the Srixon, because I think we decided Srixon's probably the way to go into.
Yeah, it's looking like the most favourable.
I think it's the straightest, best dispersion, and again, I think, like I said, your speed's dropped a little bit because we've kind of been a bit on and off, and your back's kind of seizing up a bit. But we're still over here getting kind of similar launch and spin numbers, which is a main thing. Yeah, ball speed's you're dictated by club speed, which is obviously down to you, really. So yeah, we're going to try one more shaft option. Obviously, I would normally, you know, if I'd not known you, we'd obviously go down and try quite a few others. But because I've seen you hit, you know, loads of shots, I already knew straight away at the beginning what option would kind of work. So we've got one more shaft option to try. So down we go mid 115 x100. 1/4 inch longer shaft than the Modus.
Okay.
So same playing length as your Titleist. So yeah, let's see how this one goes. But yeah, you know, shaft weight a little bit lighter than what you're currently playing, but obviously heavier than the Modus. So we'll see how it kind of compares.
In between.
A little bit right, but not to good height. Good strike.
Can you feel any difference, Dan, in the two shafts?
Yeah, this one just feels a bit more solid, a bit more weighter.
Yeah, it's going to feel a bit more stable just because it's a little bit heavier. But it's still obviously quite a high spin, being the mid version. Yeah, good shot. Spin drop. Bang out middle though. Yeah, I definitely went lower spin though, that's the only concerning thing. But again, obviously we can go, I think Srixon only do 1 degree either way in terms of loft, so you can maybe go a degree weaker. Oh, good in. It's coming a bit too low for me.
Yeah. Don't feel as comfortable as the other one.
Right, okay. Yeah, it's way lower. Yeah,
I think from the off when we changed to 105s, it were.
Yeah, as soon as you go heavier, it's just, I think maybe a little bit lower and just doesn't really get as much out of it. Against to. Yeah, it's just a consistency. Like that first one was a lot higher, and then all of a sudden it's gone quite flat. But you can see that spin drops, your deviation goes higher. Yeah, so it's a red, so it's the biggest dispersion circle. But yeah, you can see it's lower launch, lower spin. So yeah, it's just, and deviations are higher. Yeah, I prefer the other shaft. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be that shaft for me. So we've worked out, like, so what model ahead, what shaft. I think lengthwise, you know, I think because your bad one is probably a little bit steep, if anything. It's not often you catch it too clean, is it really?
No. It's definitely
so I think for me, I don't want to go too long. So I think that length's good for me. I think it's just 1/4 inch shorter than what you're playing currently. It's still a bit longer than the standard, but it's not as long. That's going to encourage you to hit it a little bit lower on the head anyway, which is going to help with the spin. Because again, if it's too long, you're just going to end up catching the ground a bit. It's always going to go higher on the head, and you're never going to get kind of true fly. So yeah, I think for me it's going to be ZXi7. Standard lie. I think it's even gone back to standard lie. Dispersion was way better. 1/4 inch longer than standard, which is playing length for 37.5. Then yeah, Modus 105 X Flex, and I think next thing now basically is working out the long iron setup, because I've got the 4 irons in the ZXi5 and 7, and we've got the utility. So because potentially combo, just have be a little bit more forgiving maybe in the longer irons, and again you can get the lofts matching up. That's not really an issue. So yeah, that's the next step basically. Cool.
So just before we look at the numbers, Dan's iron that he brought in, which you were quite happy with, and the Srixon that you fitted in for so far, I just wanted to say I think this is where most people's fitting would really end. Yeah. And we've only just got started.
Yeah, so obviously, we're going to do another episode, but we're going to look at the long iron setup. So, I've got the 4 iron in, like I said, ZXi5, ZXi7. We've got the utility as well. So we can just have a play with them and see what Dan's preference is, and you know, if we need to go down the route of a combo set or just matching everything ZXi7.
I think it's fantastic, you know. So that's where a master fitter really, you know, splits from then, you know, like shop fits, because you see so many people get fit into irons where they're great with the 7-iron and down.
Yeah.
They get to like a 6-iron and a 5-iron and a 4-iron, and then they struggle to, you know, keep that consistency.
Yeah, of course.
That's why this third stage I think is so important.
Yeah, and the good thing is, you know, the lofts are close enough that you can easily kind of, you know, blend the set really. So yeah, we'll look at that in a second. But you know, in terms of the end data with a 7-iron,
shall we have a look?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the end result then, basically. Yeah. So obviously you come in with yours before, you know, you thought they weren't too bad, but you said you wanted a little bit more spin and just a bit more control, really. And you know, we've definitely done that. You know, obviously as an average, you're a bit left to target, and obviously a big wide dispersion left and right. So obviously by changing, you know, the whole setup, we've gone obviously lighter shaft but X-Flex, so still stable but a bit lighter weight. Gone weaker loss with a ZXi7. But I also changed line angle. You were 61 line angle before, so only gone 62. So only a little bit more right, but like I said, a lot more consistency strike. But yeah, obviously, you know, over 3 mile an hour ball speed gain, which is great. Kept the launch the same, but spin's gone up nearly 900 revs. Not starting as far offline to the left, and instead carry, you know, yard in it. Yeah. But the main thing is just that consistency and the deviation. You know, if you look at deviation with launch and spin, you know, huge improvement. And again, club data wise, so the real reason it's gone a bit quicker, just club speed. I think a lot of it's down to just being a bit lighter shaft. Feeling like you can kind of just, you know, give it a little bit more. Yep. Efficiency has stayed the same. But again, if you look at the deviations across the board, everything's tighter. And that's the main thing we've kind of seen, is just the consistency of strikes there now. Yeah. Where it just was a bit hit and miss with yours before. So because your deviations are tight, it naturally becomes a tight dispersion. So yeah, I think the numbers are very good. Like I said, we'll look at long irons now, see if we can get it kind of dialed in, and just work out what, you know, combo set you're going to be.
So that was the second part of Dan's fit, and I think we've come to some conclusion now on the route we're going to go down headwise, the ZXi7.
Yeah, so you know, definitely minimum 7 to wedge. But what we're now going to see is, you know, we're going to carry that throughout the bag, or if we're going to go a bit more forgiving in the longer irons. So yeah, that's going to be the next process, basically.
I think this will be a great video for anyone that might be in market for Srixon iron themselves, because Dan's going to be able to provide us a little bit of information about the feel between each clubs, you know, feel, you know, a bit about the offset, and just looking at the numbers, basically.
Yeah, they're all quite different. Obviously, like the driving iron, for example, was definitely the largest profile ahead, but there's not a lot of offset to it. Then ZXi5, you know, like I said, a bit beefier than the ZXi7, but also a little bit more offset. So we'll just see what Dan's preference is, really, and obviously what the numbers are like. But yeah, the main thing now is just working out what head's going to be optimum.
Brilliant. Guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Check Sam out at Golf Repair for all your fitting and repair needs. And we'll be back in a few days' time to conclude and find out, you know, what full setup Dan's going to be going for. Yeah. You know, will he be splitting this set, or will he be sticking ZXi7 all the way through?
Yeah, we'll find out.
Any predictions?
I reckon it's going to be just 4 iron in the ZXi5, and then the rest in the 5 to wedge. I think that'll be probably best.
I'm going to really put my reputation on line, and I'm going to say he's going to go for a driving iron in 4 iron.
Right. Okay. Yeah. We'll see.
I just, I don't know why, I just feel like maybe a bit less offset, potentially.
Yeah.
But let's find out.
Yeah, definitely.
Guys, hope you're enjoying the videos. We'll see you in a few days' time. Bye.